AITA for separating our finances after my wife called me insecure at dinner? I'm William, 38, and after 9 years of marriage, I knew Kelsey's coffee order better than my own. But somehow I missed the moment my wife stopped seeing me as her husband and started seeing me as the guy who would keep the lights on while she built a backup life. That sounds bitter. I know it does. But I didn't start there. For a long time, Kelsey was the easiest person in the world for me to love. She was sharp, funny, quick with a comeback, and the kind of woman who could turn a boring dinner at home into a memory just by making fun of the way I folded napkins. She hated mushrooms, loved too much ice in her drinks, slept on the side of the bed closest to the door, and needed a full pep talk before seeing certain relatives because, as she put it, family events are emotional obstacle courses with potato salad. I didn't marry a villain. I married someone who made ordinary days feel less ordinary. And I wasn't a perfect husband. I want to be clear about that before anyone decides this is just me polishing my side of the story. I can be quiet when I'm stressed. I am not the guy who always knows the right emotional sentence at the right emotional second. Sometimes I thought paying attention meant handling the oil change, making sure the bill cleared, picking up the coffee she liked, or remembering which cousin she was avoiding that week. Kelsey wanted words more than that sometimes, and I did not always give them to her fast enough. But I never lied to her. I never cheated on her. I never dragged another person into our marriage and then blamed her for noticing. The first changes were small enough that I told myself I was being paranoid. Her phone, which used to be tossed anywhere, started living face down. The password changed. Not a big deal by itself. Everybody deserves privacy. But then she started smiling at texts during breakfast and locking the screen when I walked into the room. One morning, I was pouring coffee while she sat at the table, grinning down at her phone like someone had just said exactly what she wanted to hear. "What's funny?" I asked. Her smile disappeared too fast. "Nothing," she said. That looked like more than nothing. She put the phone down, face down. "Can I have one conversation without you monitoring me?" I remember standing there with the coffee pot in my hand, feeling stupid for even asking. "I'm not monitoring you," I said. I asked what was funny. "Exactly," she said, like that explained everything. "You don't see the difference." That became the rhythm. If I asked a normal question, I was insecure. If I noticed she came home later than usual, I was controlling. If I asked why she stopped wearing her ring on nights out with friends, but put it back on for family dinners, I was obsessed with appearances. "Everybody deserves privacy, William," she told me one night while taking off her earrings in the bathroom mirror. "Privacy isn't the same thing as secrecy," I said. She looked at my reflection instead of turning around. That sounds like something a man says when he wants access to everything. There was no winning with her once she started talking like that. Every concern became evidence against me. Every question became a character flaw. She had a way of sounding wounded even when she was the one holding the knife. I tried to fix it the way responsible adults are supposed to fix things. I asked for honest conversations. I suggested couples counseling. I sent her a link to a counselor with appointment times and told her she could choose whichever one felt comfortable. She barely glanced at it. "So now I need therapy because you don't know how to connect?" she said. "I'm saying we both need help communicating." "No," she said. "You're asking for control and dressing it up as growth." A few days later, she added a couples counseling appointment to our shared calendar herself. I thought that meant we were finally moving in the right direction. Then the appointment disappeared 2 days before it was supposed to happen. When I asked about it, she said, "I'm not ready to sit in a room and be blamed." "Blamed for what?" I asked. She gave me a sad little smile. "For needing emotional safety." That phrase started showing up a lot. Emotional safety, healing, space, owning my part, her emotional needs. It all sounded reasonable from a distance, and that was the problem. She could take a selfish choice and wrap it in soft words until you felt rude for objecting. Meanwhile, life kept moving like nothing was wrong whenever she needed it to. The mortgage came out of the shared checking account. Utilities came out automatically. Her car insurance renewal hit, and she forwarded me the email with, "Can you handle this?" I'm slammed. She sent me links to restaurants for our anniversary trip, then spent the same night out with friends without her ring. 2 days before the Sunday dinner that blew everything open, she texted a heart emoji in the family group chat after my aunt wrote something about us being the stable ones. Kelsey replied, "He keeps me grounded," with a little red heart. I stared at that message longer than I should have. At home, she said she needed space. To everyone else, she made it sound like we were solid enough for her to borrow my stability when it helped her image. Sunday dinner was at her mother's place. One of those casual family things with folding chairs, paper plates, too much grilled food, and people drifting between the kitchen and the back patio. I didn't want to go. Kelsey did. On the drive there, she put her wedding ring on at a red light. I saw it. She saw me see it. What? She said. Nothing. She slid the ring fully into place. Please don't start. I didn't say anything. You don't have to. That was how the whole day felt before it even began. Like I was already guilty of something she planned to accuse me of later. Dinner started normal. Her mother fussed over the food. Someone's kid spilled iced tea. A couple of relatives talked too loudly about a game on TV. Brianna was there too, Kelsey's best friend, close enough to the family that nobody questioned her presence. Brianna had always been friendly to me in a distant way, but lately she looked at me like I was a disappointing headline. Kelsey sat across from me instead of beside me. Her phone stayed near her plate, face down, one finger resting on the edge like she was waiting for it to breathe. After a couple of glasses of wine, the conversation got loose. Someone teased me about being quiet. William's always been the calm one, Kelsey's uncle said. Nothing rattles that guy. Kelsey laughed, but there was no warmth in it. Calm is one word for it, she said. I looked at her. She looked at Brianna. Brianna tilted her head. Kels, don't do that thing where you swallow everything just to keep the peace. I felt something shift around the table. Kelsey sighed like she had been invited to be brave. I'm not trying to start anything. That is usually what people say right before they start something. Her mother reached for a napkin. Start what? Kelsey picked at the corner of her paper plate. It's just hard when everyone thinks quiet means dependable. Sometimes quiet means absent. A couple of people looked at me. I kept my voice level. Kelsey. What? She asked, too innocent. I'm allowed to be honest. Brianna touched her arm. You deserve to be happy, Kels. That's what I've been trying to explain, Kelsey said. I sat back. Explain what? She looked right at me then, and the sadness vanished for half a second. Underneath it was something prepared. You're great at paying bills, she said. Not great at being present. The table went quiet enough that I heard someone set down a fork. I felt heat climb up my neck, but I didn't raise my voice. Is this really the place? She smiled, small and calm. That's the problem, William. There's never a place. There's never a time. There's never room for my feelings unless they're convenient for you. I looked around the table. Her mother stared at her plate. One of my relatives, who had come with me because our families overlapped after 9 years, looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Then Kelsey said it. Maybe if William cared before another man listened, we wouldn't be here. The room froze. My ears rang a little. Not from yelling. There was no yelling. That almost made it worse. What exactly are you saying right now? I asked. She leaned back like I had proved something. See? That tone. That suspicion. You're too insecure to handle real honesty. Her phone lit up beside her plate. I didn't mean to look. It was right there, glowing in the middle of the table. Trent, you okay? I hate knowing you're there with him pretending. I looked from the phone to Kelsey. She flipped it over fast, but not fast enough. Nobody else saw the words. Or maybe someone did and chose not to react. Family has a way of going blind when the truth would make dessert awkward. I said, who is Trent? Kelsey's face hardened for just a second. Then the wounded version came back. He's a friend. A friend who thinks you're here pretending with me? Brianna jumped in. She was lonely. William. I turned to her. I didn't ask you. Kelsey's eyes flashed. Don't talk to her like that. She's been there for me. And Trent? I asked. He listened when you didn't. Someone muttered my name like I was the one making a scene. Kelsey folded her hands on the table. You can't punish me for feeling lonely. I stared at my wife of 9 years and realized she wasn't confessing. She was presenting a defense. I'm not punishing you, I said. I'm listening. That bothered her more than anger would have. I could see it. She expected me to explode. Maybe she needed me to explode. A yelling husband would have made everything easier for her. But I didn't give her that. The rest of dinner limped along for maybe 10 minutes before I stood up and said, we should go. Kelsey took her time gathering her purse, like leaving calmly meant she had won. In the driveway, she walked ahead of me without speaking. In the car, she buckled her seatbelt, pulled out her phone, and started typing. I drove. For almost 5 minutes, Neither of us said a word. Then she sighed dramatically. You're proving why I needed someone else to talk to. That was the sentence that killed the last excuse I had for her. Not because it was the cruelest thing she had said. It wasn't. It was because it showed me the frame. My pain was going to be evidence. My questions were going to be control. My anger was going to be abuse. She had already written the story, and all she needed from me was a reaction big enough to fit inside it. So I didn't give her one. When we got home, she went straight to the bedroom. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She didn't explain. She changed clothes, plugged in her phone, and got into bed like the public humiliation of our marriage had been a difficult but productive conversation. I stood in the kitchen under the weak light above the stove and waited until I heard her breathing even out. Then I opened my laptop. I didn't hack her accounts. I didn't install anything. I didn't touch her phone. I started with what was mine, what was shared, and what she had already put in writing. Shared checking account. Automatic bill payments. Credit card statements. The phone bill, which didn't show messages but did show repeated late-night contact with one number. Shared calendar entries. Emails about our anniversary trip. A pending notification from the bank for the final hotel charge that was scheduled to hit that week. She had still expected me to pay for that trip. That detail made me sit back in the chair. After everything at dinner, after Trent's message, after making me look like some emotionally defective husband in front of our families, Kelsey still had the anniversary trip sitting on the calendar like I was supposed to pack a suitcase and perform happy marriage for photos. I opened a blank document and started typing dates. Not feelings. Dates. The first night she came home late and said it was a girls' night. The counseling appointment that appeared and vanished. The family group chat heart emoji. The ring on for family, ring off for friends pattern. The late night calls on the phone bill. The anniversary payment. The dinner. Trent's message as best as I remembered it. I made a folder on the table with receipts, printed statements, account notes, and copies of important paperwork. I packed a duffel bag and left it by the laundry room door. I didn't want revenge that would ruin my life. I wanted the truth arranged so neatly nobody could pretend not to see it. At 6:12 the next morning, I called Adrian. Adrian has been my best friend long enough to know when I'm quiet because I'm calm and when I'm quiet because I'm trying not to come apart. He answered on the second ring, voice rough with sleep. Somebody better be dead, he said. Not dead, I said. But my marriage might be. He woke up fast. I told him everything. Not dramatically. Just the dinner, Trent, the car ride, the accounts, the trip. He didn't interrupt until I got to the part where I wanted to message Trent. No, he said immediately. You don't even know what I was going to say. I know enough. Do not give her the explosion she already wrote for you. I rubbed my eyes. I'm not going to threaten him. You think that now? Then he says one smug thing, and suddenly you're the unstable husband in her story. If you threaten Trent, you become the villain she needs. I hated how right he was. Adrian kept going. You can be angry later. Right now, be smart. Get your facts. Protect your money. Leave clean. She's still my wife. And that means you handle shared obligations fairly, he said. It does not mean you keep funding whatever personal fantasy she's building while calling you insecure. That sentence stuck. I spent that morning moving like someone else was controlling my body. I changed my direct deposit to an account only in my name. I left enough in the shared checking account to cover legitimate shared bills that were already scheduled. I turned off transfers for her personal extras, subscriptions I didn't use, the extra spending card tied to my account, the little conveniences that had become invisible because I was too stable to question them. Then I canceled the anniversary trip before the final charge hit. The cancellation email came through at 9:47. Kelsey noticed at 10:03. Her first text was not an apology. Kelsey, did you cancel the hotel? I stared at the screen for a while before answering. Me, yes. Kelsey, wow. So now you're punishing me financially because I told the truth? Me, I'm not funding a marriage you're using as cover. She didn't respond for 8 minutes. Then came the paragraphs. Kelsey, you're twisting this. Trent is not what you think. He met an emotional need you ignored for years. It's not cheating to feel understood. You keep making this ugly because you can't own your part. I screenshotted it. Another message came in. Kelsey, you don't get to make me the villain because someone else listened when you didn't. I screenshotted that too. The funny thing about people who think they're morally right is they often document themselves better than you ever could. Over the next 2 hours, Kelsey kept texting. She was angry, then calm, then wounded, then angry again. She never denied the emotional relationship. She just kept trying to rename it. He was support. He was a safe place. He was proof she still had a voice. He was anything except another man she had invited into our marriage while still letting me pay for the life she was using to look respectable. Around noon, Brianna texted me. Brianna, she was drowning, William. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the language was so predictable. Me. Then you should have helped her get honest, not helped her hide. Brianna, you have no idea what she's been carrying. Me. Did you know about Trent? She didn't answer. That was an answer. That afternoon, while sorting through email confirmations and shared calendar screenshots, I got another message from Kelsey. It looked accidental at first, like she had copied the wrong thing into the wrong thread before deleting it. But it came through long enough for me to see it and screenshot it. Kelsey, he'll be angry for a week, then he'll pay for everything like always. That's what William does. Then it vanished from the thread. My hand went cold. A minute later, Brianna texted. Brianna, just get through this week. He'll calm down. She had sent that to me by mistake too. Or maybe Kelsey had forwarded something wrong and Brianna panicked. I don't know. I don't care. The important part was that I had both messages before either one could pretend they never existed. I sat at the kitchen table staring at those words. That's what William does. Not, William will understand. Not, William loves me. Not even, William will forgive me. He'll pay for everything like always. That message changed the shape of the betrayal. Until then, part of me had still been looking for a way to file it under confusion, loneliness, a marriage in trouble, two people failing each other in different ways. But that text was strategy. That was my wife counting on my loyalty as a financial plan. I called Adrian again. He listened, then said, print it. I already did. Good. Now stop reading it over and over. It'll poison you. Too late, I thought. But I understood what he meant. Rage can make you sloppy. Sloppy was exactly what Kelsey needed me to be. Later that day, I got a message from an unknown number. Unknown, this is Trent. I think we should talk. For about 30 seconds, I just stared at it. Every angry version of me wanted to call him. Every smart version of me heard Adrian's voice saying, don't become the villain she needs. Me. Text is better. What do you want to say? A few minutes passed. Trent. She told me you two were separated. I felt my jaw tighten. Me. We are not separated. Trent. She said basically separated. Her words were that you were only keeping up appearances until things settled. I looked across the kitchen at the anniversary trip folder, the shared checking account printouts, the family group chat heart emoji I had printed because it felt ridiculous and important at the same time. Me. That is not even close to true. Trent. She said you knew the marriage was over emotionally. She said you slept in different rooms. We did not sleep in different rooms. We had slept in the same bed the night before Sunday dinner. She had put her cold feet against my leg like she always did. Me. She is still wearing her ring at family events. She asked me to confirm our anniversary trip this week. We share finances. She texted my family 2 days ago like we were fine. There was a long pause. Trent, I'm sorry. I would not have stepped in if I knew she was still living like your wife. I didn't know whether I believed him completely. Maybe he liked being the understanding man. Maybe he had ignored some signs because feeling needed can be addictive. But he didn't sound smug. He sounded embarrassed. Trent, I'm not getting used as proof you failed her. I saved that too. By evening, Kelsey had figured out the money was really changing. Not the household bills. I didn't touch those. I wasn't trying to create chaos or leave anything unpaid just to make a point. But the extra stream of convenience had stopped. The card declined on something personal, and she called me 6 times in a row. I didn't answer. Her first voicemail was sharp. William, this is childish. You don't get to cut me off because your ego is bruised. Call me back. The second was quieter. You're scaring me. This isn't who you are. The third had tears in it. I don't understand why you're being so cold. That one almost got me. Not because I believed it, but because for 9 years my body had been trained to respond when Kelsey sounded hurt. I wanted to fix it. I wanted to soothe the room. I wanted to make the discomfort stop. Then I looked at the printed screenshot again. He'll pay for everything like always. I put the phone face down. The next day, she struck first. I was eating a sandwich over the sink because I had not had the patience for a plate when my phone started buzzing nonstop. At first I thought it was Kelsey again. Then I saw the family group chat. Kelsey had posted a long message. She said I had abandoned her after a painful but honest conversation. She said I had cut money to punish her for admitting she felt emotionally neglected. She said she had been trying to save our marriage, but I cared more about being right than understanding how lonely I had made her. She did not mention Trent by name. She did not mention telling him we were separated. She did not mention the anniversary trip. She definitely did not mention telling Brianna I would pay for everything like always. The replies came fast. Marriage takes forgiveness. You can't just abandon your wife. Maybe she looked elsewhere because she felt alone. William, you've always been hard to read. Maybe this is a wake-up call. Don't let pride destroy 9 years. I read every message. My thumb hovered over the screen so long it went dark. I wanted to defend myself in all caps. I wanted to ask them where all this wisdom had been when my wife humiliated me in front of them. I wanted to tell them that lonely was not a permission slip. Instead, I waited. Kelsey kept typing. That was her mistake. She got more confident with every relative who nudged me toward forgiveness. Kelsey, I never wanted this to become a family issue, but I don't know what else to do when he refuses to communicate. That was when I opened the folder on my laptop. I sent one message. Me. I'm not asking anyone to hate Kelsey, but I'm not going to be judged by a version of events that leaves out the part where she planned around my loyalty. Then I attached the timeline. Not a rant. Not a novel. Dates, short descriptions, and screenshots. The dinner comment. Kelsey's text saying Trent met an emotional need I ignored. The phone bill showing repeated late-night contact. The message where Trent said she told him we were basically separated. The family group chat heart emoji from 2 days earlier. The anniversary trip payment she still expected me to cover. And the message that ended any chance of her playing confused victim with me. He'll be angry for a week, then he'll pay for everything like always. That's what William does. I added one final line. Me. I have kept shared obligations covered. I stopped paying for personal extras and canceled a trip I was being used to fund under false pretenses. I will not discuss this further in a group chat. Then I put my phone down. For the first time in days, the buzzing stopped. The silence was so complete it felt physical. No wise advice. No forgiveness quotes. No hear her out. Just nothing. Then Kelsey called. I let it ring. She called again. And again. By the 7th missed call, Adrian texted me. Adrian, do not answer while your hands are shaking. I looked down. He was right. They were. Brianna texted next. Brianna, you didn't have to embarrass her like that. Me. She embarrassed me with lies. I answered with the truth. Brianna, I was trying to help my friend survive. Me. You helped her lie. Brianna, you're acting like she planned a crime. Me, no. I'm acting like she planned a cover story and used all of you to pressure me into funding it. She stopped replying. Kelsey left another voicemail. This one started angry, then fell apart halfway through. How could you send private messages to my family? Do you understand what you just did? My mom won't answer me. Brianna is freaking out. Trent won't pick up. You made me look like some kind of manipulator. There was a pause, and then her voice cracked. I didn't think you would actually do this. I saved the voicemail and hated that I still felt sad hearing her cry. That night, Trent sent me one last screenshot. It was a message he had sent Kelsey. Trent, you told me you were separated. Don't use me as proof he failed you. I'm not doing this anymore. Under it, he wrote to me. I'm sorry for my part. I should have asked harder questions. I didn't forgive him. I didn't need to. But I believed he finally understood he had not been rescuing a woman from a dead marriage. He had been handed a role in a story where I was already cast as the absent husband, and he got to be the man who understood her. Kelsey lost Trent that night. She also lost the easy sympathy. Her mother texted me the next morning. William, I owe you an apology. I didn't know the full story. That was it. No dramatic speech. No grand reversal. Just one awkward sentence from a woman who had looked at me like I broke her daughter and then realized her daughter had been passing out edited pages. Another relative wrote, I should not have said anything without asking you. I'm sorry. Most people said nothing. Honestly, the silence was enough. Nobody threw me a parade. Nobody formed a committee to defend my honor. But the texts telling me to be patient stopped, and Kelsey's family started asking her questions instead of asking me to absorb the damage. Why did you say you were separated? Why did you let everyone think William cut household money? Why did you bring this up at dinner if you didn't want people involved? Why did Brianna know more than your husband? Kelsey did not like being questioned. She liked being comforted. There is a difference. 3 days after the group chat, she asked to meet. Not at the house. I wasn't ready for the kitchen, the bedroom, the coffee mugs, all the ordinary things that made betrayal feel insane. We met at a quiet little place with bad coffee and tables too close together. Neutral enough that neither of us could pretend we were home. She looked tired. No makeup, hair pulled back, wedding ring on. I noticed. I hated that I noticed. She sat across from me and wrapped both hands around her cup. You look like you haven't slept, she said. I haven't much. Me neither. I waited. She swallowed. I know you're hurt. That's not a start. Her eyebrows pulled together. What do you want me to say? The truth without using my reaction as the subject. She looked down at her coffee. It wasn't like you think, she said softly. I almost stood up right then. Kelsey, I'm trying. No, I said. You're trying to find a version that sounds less ugly. Her eyes filled. I was lonely. I believe you. That seemed to surprise her. I continued. I believe there were things in our marriage you needed and didn't know how to ask for in a way I understood. I believe I missed things. I believe I got too comfortable being the steady one and thought steady was enough. She exhaled like she had finally found the door back in. Then I said, none of that explains lying to Trent, lying to me, letting my family judge me, and planning around the fact that I'd keep paying. Her face crumpled. I was angry when I wrote that. You wrote it because you believed it. She wiped under her eye. I didn't think you'd really go. There it was. The most honest thing she had said since dinner. I leaned back in my chair. That was the problem, I said. You didn't think I had a line. You just found it. She cried then. Quietly at first, then harder. A year earlier, maybe even 6 months earlier, I would have moved to her side of the table. I would have lowered my voice and told her we would figure it out. I would have made her pain the emergency and my own pain the thing I dealt with later. I stayed where I was. I don't want to lose you, she said. You already made decisions where losing me was an acceptable risk. I made mistakes. You made a plan and counted on me to pay for it. She flinched. I didn't enjoy saying it. That surprised me. Some part of me had thought the truth would feel satisfying when spoken out loud. It didn't. It felt like setting down something heavy in a room where both of us could see the dent it left. I'll go to counseling, she said. I'll do whatever. Just come home. No. Her head snapped up. No. No, I repeated. I'm not moving back in right now. I'm not funding your personal expenses. I'm not going to counseling so you can call this a misunderstanding for 50 minutes and make me defend myself against your loneliness. If we talk about the marriage, we start with what happened. I told you what happened. No, I said. You told me how you felt while doing it. That's not the same thing. She stared at me, crying silently. I kept my voice calm, because if I let it shake, I knew she would reach for that instead of the words. I'll talk when you can name what you did without assigning it to me. You had an emotional affair. You lied about our marriage to another man. You let me keep paying for a life you were using as a cover. You used our families to pressure me after I set a boundary. Until you can say that plainly. There is nothing to repair. She whispered, you sound so cold. I'm not cold, I said. I'm done being useful to someone who calls my pain insecurity. We sat there for a long minute. A couple at the next table pretended not to listen. The coffee machine hissed behind the counter. Kelsey twisted her ring around her finger again and again. Finally, she said, so what happens now? I already had a legal and financial consultation, I said. I'm not filing anything today, just to make a point. But I'm preparing like I may need to. Shared responsibilities stay fair. Personal choices stay separate. Any conversation between us needs to be honest. That's where I am. She nodded like she understood, but her face said she still thought there was some sentence she could find to turn me back into the man who fixed things. I used to be proud of being that man. Now I understand how easily patience can become a cage when someone else has the key. Over the next few weeks, life got quieter in a way that felt unnatural at first. The shared account stayed clean. The bills that were supposed to be paid got paid. The extras stayed stopped. My duffel bag turned into 2 boxes, then 3. I kept the folder with my paperwork in the top drawer of the place where I was staying, not because I wanted to stare at it, but because I needed to remember what was real when guilt tried to rewrite things at night. Kelsey sent some real apologies and some fake ones. I learned to tell the difference. A fake apology began with, I'm sorry you felt. A real one sounded more like, I lied because I wanted both options. She only managed that once. I give her credit for it. I also did not mistake it for repair. Brianna never apologized to me. She sent one long message about loyalty and how people do complicated things when they are unhappy. I didn't answer. Not every bad argument deserves a response just because it arrives in paragraph form. Trent disappeared from the situation as far as I could tell. Maybe that was guilt. Maybe embarrassment. Maybe he just did not want a woman who had made him feel special by lying about the man she went home to. Whatever the reason, the backup plan was gone. Kelsey tried once to bring up the group chat again. "You exposed me," she said during a phone call. "No," I said. "You involved them." I corrected the record. "You could have protected me." "I did protect you for years." That was the problem. She went quiet. I didn't say it to hurt her. I said it because it was true. There are people who think restraint means weakness. They assume that because you do not slam doors, you will never leave through one. They mistake your willingness to talk for permission to keep moving the line. They call you steady when they need shelter and cold when you stop being furniture in their emotional weather. I still don't know exactly what will happen with the marriage on paper. Some days I think there is nothing left to save. Other days, I remember the woman who made ordinary days feel less ordinary, and I hate that she and the woman who wrote, "He'll pay for everything like always," live in the same body. But I know what will not happen. I will not move back into a lie just because the truth embarrassed her. I will not pay for the privilege of being disrespected. I will not let people judge me from her edited version while I stand there quietly trying to look mature. And I will not confuse patience with progress again. The last time I went by the house to pick up mail, my phone was in my pocket, face down for once because I wasn't waiting for permission, panic, or an apology. The kitchen looked the same. The mug she always used was still by the sink. For a second, the whole thing felt small and sad instead of dramatic. Then I saw the empty spot on the counter where the anniversary trip folder had been, and I remembered her sitting across from me at dinner, smiling while she told everyone I was too insecure to handle honesty. She thought my patience meant I had no spine. Turns out, it was just the last thing I was willing to give her. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.